In partnership with AvBuyer, the home of all aircraft for sale worldwide and the latest actionable intelligence in print, digital, and online. Check out avbuyer.com.
Welcome to Jet Life Podcast. My name is Tom Lelyo. I'm your ultimate jet guide, and today I'm joined with Mike and Bryant. They're Piper dealers, Mike from Muncie and Bryant from Qatar Aviation, that's right. And so we're here to talk. You're typing $2 million, and you see a bunch of turboprops, you see a bunch of private jets that you can buy in that price point. How are you going to buy your first aircraft? Which one's the right way to go? You guys are here to help us answer that question. So thank you very much for being on the show.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So Brian, why don't you tell us a little bit about kind of turboprops in general? Where do they shine? What kind of an owner shines when they have a turboprop versus a jet?
Well, one of the things you're going to be able to get from a turboprop versus a jet is you're going to be able to get a newer aircraft, lower time, that translates to operating costs, reduced operating costs, right? So you can get a really nice, so just say $2 million or $4 million, wherever you kind of slide that ruler in the marketplace, you're going to be able to get a newer aircraft, possibly under warranty, everything like that. If your mission really is something that you need that speed and the range and the carrying capacity, usually, jets are usually going to be able to carry more in general, right? Then that may be the direction if you're limited to that certain price point. But for the most part, turboprops are great for shorter missions. The operating costs and just the efficiency of the engine for shorter range missions is just better with a turboprop versus a jet. In order to really get that kind of fuel burn and operating costs down in a jet, you have to get up to altitude. If you don't have the distance, you're not getting up to altitude to get that low fuel burn. So that's really kind of where those two kind of fall in the market.
They really are two totally different missions.
It really is. It really is. I don't see a lot of owners that come to me and kind of say, I'm looking at a jet or I'm looking at a turboprop.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. No, I get it. Like you and I were talking earlier, can you maybe describe the buyer timeline or the buyer path of life, if you will, that you've seen coming from pistons, turboprops, and kind of moving up into the business jet?
Of course, yeah. So typically you're seeing somebody come out of training, with a Piper Archer or a Cirrus, right?
Sure.
They're getting their training in there. They want to get their instrument rating. So for insurance purposes, obviously for stepping up in aircraft. So typically you'll see an M350 buyer transition to an M600 and then keep working their way up if that's the path that they decide on going. Really with the M600 though, it has everything that you need in terms of your mission, right? Kind of like Brian was touching on, if you really need to go that distance, you really need to bring that much payload with you. So you'll see a lot of buyers kind of stick around and hang on to the M600 for a while, or kind of use that warranty until that warranty's up, kind of transition onto the next aircraft, or just get a brand new one and trade in their older M600.
What is the M series? What does that kind of bring to the table in general? What is kind of the profile of the M series that Piper has out there?
The majority of our owners are owner pilots themselves.
Okay.
Right? The M600, because of the payload range profile that it provides, for example, 1,000 pounds, 1,000 nautical miles. So you have a lot of weight that you put in the aircraft, but weight is people and bags, right? So the M600 has really kind of opened up that more of a corporate kind of flight profile, but the majority of our owners are pilots themselves flying the aircraft. So, and then we find that all the way from the M350 through the 600.
Gotcha. And in terms of operating costs, what are we looking at? I'm flying 100, 200 hours a year. How much money in the bank would I need to blow on my aircraft in a given year that you would feel comfortable with? Because I'll talk to people who want to buy a jet, like, oh, I can buy a jet for $500,000 or $1 million.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, you're going to need to be okay with maybe dropping $500,000 every year after this just to fly it as much as you want.
Exactly.
So what does it look like on the turboprop side?
Well, it really kind of depends on where you are in sense of the age of the aircraft.
Sure.
Right. Just like the jets.
Yep.
Right. The newer aircraft, the ones that are under warranty and have the maintenance program and everything provided, you can look at essentially your operating cost is hours divided by your fixed cost. It's basically everything else is taken care of through the warranty and through the maintenance process, okay?
Interesting.
Yeah, so whatever your hangar, your pilot, your insurance, and all those kind of things, divided on how many hours you fly a year, that's really going to be your operating costs on the aircraft. And we find Conklin will throw somewhere around, I think, about 350 to 400 on like the 600, right? I just don't really go by those numbers a whole lot, just because, you know, a 10-year-old aircraft's going to be different.
Yeah.
You know, and it's really kind of what we're focused on is really more on the new to late model side.
Gotcha.
And so that's kind of what we're finding. So really efficient, 300-400 hours.
Yeah, about 350 is usually what they like to use for a rule of thumb. And what else?
Per hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what else is a good thing to think about when you're looking at either purchasing something new like this, M-Class wise, is they do include up to the dealer. They have a certain program. It could be a 2, 3, 4, or even a 5-year warranty plan built in. That's called a UCP plan, Ultimate Care Protection Plan. And with that, you get your 50 hours oil changes or whatever that is, either on the M350. Everything's all covered.
If something happens and I have like a bird strike or something, is that covered too? Or?
That's different. That's usually taken care of through the insurance provider. Yeah, that's a insurance kind of thing.
So, here's a question for you. If someone's looking to buy an aircraft. What are the advantages of going new? I usually will work with people who are looking at the pre-owned market,
right?
But tell me a little bit about the new market.
Well, kind of like what we talked about already is just the maintenance and the warranty that's included with it, right? The latest technology on the aircraft, like you know, finding an aircraft, a late model aircraft or a new aircraft with like the Halo system and all the kind of features that it has.
Totally customizable too, right? So you can go ahead and pick the interior, the stitching, to all the way to the exterior, even the decals, carbon fiber decals or vinyls or whatever you want.
That's a good point.
So that's another a good feature, as well as like Bryant was touching on. You know, it's all about the user or the owner wanting something brand new and not having to worry about, hey, do I need to put $50,000 into an engine or some sort of part.
One of the critiques I've heard on buying a new aircraft was that you take a hit on the depreciation. I mean, it's just like a car, right? As soon as you drive it off the lot, it's depreciating in value. What do you see owners do to combat that, or what do you see owners do in terms of how long did they hold on to the asset and look for something else?
From what I've seen is, like, just kind of talking specifically with like the M600, we really haven't seen over the past couple of years. I think part of that's just the general rise in the market. If you purchased an M600 4 years ago, you're probably selling it for what you purchased it for.
True.
Right.
True.
So yeah, you know, so depreciation really isn't there. Also, if you purchase like a 600 with a 5-year program and you sell that aircraft with like a year remaining, you get a lot of value back out of that aircraft because you're providing that next owner with the assurance of having a year of warranty remaining, right?
Instead of using all of that up, the airplane could be being completely off of that warranty and then trying to sell it or broker it or however you're doing it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the pattern that we've seen for the M600 owners. We see the M600 purchase the aircraft new, 4 years after, get into another 600.
How are the OEMs in terms of keeping up on the new aircraft? Are they way behind? Like, is it
in terms of production?
Yeah, production.
Yeah. No, they're a little bit slowed down right now, and that's just obviously due to supply issues.
Sure.
And that's across the whole industry, right? So
is that maintaining the value then of the 2022s?
I think there's definitely some association with lead times and kind of reduced production or slowed production. We have a couple of aircraft. I think all the OEMs have a couple of aircraft that were intended for this year that are rolling over into next year. But for the most part, it's still, we're in a market that our demand is still higher than the supply that we can provide.
Gotcha.
Right? And whenever times are good, OEMs are notorious for just ramping up production, right? And then when it starts to slow down, you get this real kind of inverse effect of supply and demand. And we just haven't reached that point yet, because I think the supply shortages have actually artificially limited what the OEMs are actually able to do.
Right, for sure. Well, thank you so much, guys. I really do appreciate your time. Is there anything else, any other tips you want to give to a new buyer or anything else?
Contact an educated broker.
Oh, I love that.
That's it.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of, aviation is the Wild West in many, many ways, and you need someone that you know, like, and trust, so I definitely appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Gentlemen, thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thanks, guys.